The Hellenistic Wars, a saga of power and chaos. The Hellenistic Wars, a series of tumultuous conflicts that erupted following the death of Alexander the Great in 323 BCE, marked one of the most brutal and chaotic periods in ancient history. As his sprawling empire fractured into rival factions, a battle for supremacy plunged the Mediterranean world into a spiral of unrelenting warfare, political treachery, and devastating bloodshed. These wars were not merely a contest of military might, but a dark struggle for power that reshaped the ancient world. Alexander the Great, who had forged one of the largest empires in history by the age of 32, died unexpectedly in Babylon in 323 BCE. His death left a colossal power vacuum, as Alexander had made no clear arrangements for the succession of his empire. In his final moments, when asked who should inherit his kingdom, Alexander allegedly replied, "To the strongest." This ominous proclamation ignited a firestorm. Alexander's generals, known as the Diadochi, successors, each believed themselves the rightful heirs. Yet the vastness of Alexander's empire, stretching from Greece to Egypt and as far as the Indus Valley, proved impossible to govern as a unified entity. What followed was a series of wars that would span centuries, fragmenting the empire into warring kingdoms and leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. The Wars of the Diadochi, 322–275 BCE, were the first phase of the Hellenistic Wars, as Alexander's former generals vied for control over his empire. These wars were characterized by shifting alliances, betrayals, and ruthless ambition. In the immediate aftermath of Alexander's death, his loyal general Perdiccas attempted to maintain unity by serving as regent for Alexander's infant son Alexander IV and his half-brother Philip III. However, Perdiccas's authority was challenged by other generals, including Ptolemy in Egypt, Antigonus in Asia Minor, and Cassander in Macedonia. Perdiccas' ill-fated invasion of Egypt in 321 BCE ended in mutiny and his assassination by his own officers. This act shattered any remaining hope for a unified empire and plunged the Diadochi into open warfare. The Hellenistic world was carved into distinct spheres of influence by Alexander's generals, each of whom sought to establish their own dynasties. These new kingdoms, Ptolemaic Egypt, Seleucid Asia, Antigonid Macedonia, and others, became the battlegrounds for successive conflicts. Fought between 322 and 320 BCE, this war pitted Perdiccas against a coalition of his former allies. It was during this war that Ptolemy secured Egypt, cementing his position as one of the most enduring figures of the Hellenistic age. The war concluded with the partition of Triparadisus, which redistributed territories among the generals but failed to prevent further hostilities. Antigonus the One-Eyed emerged as a formidable contender, seeking to restore Alexander's empire under his rule. His ambitions led to the creation of the Antigonid dynasty and set the stage for the Battle of Ipsus in 301 BCE. This pivotal battle saw Antigonus defeated and killed by a coalition of rival generals, further fragmenting the Hellenistic world. As the Diadochi established their respective realms, a new power began to rise in the west, Rome. Initially a distant threat, Rome's influence over the Hellenistic world grew steadily, culminating in the Macedonian Wars. The Antigonid dynasty in Macedonia faced a relentless Roman advance. The First Macedonian War, 214–205 BCE, was a prelude to the crushing defeats of the Second and Third Macedonian Wars, 200–168 BCE. The Battle of Pydna in 168 BCE marked the end of Macedonian independence as the Antigonid dynasty fell, and Macedonia was annexed as a Roman province. In the east, the Seleucid Empire faced both internal dissent and external threats. The Parthians emerged as a powerful rival, gradually eroding Seleucid territories. Meanwhile, Roman intervention during the Syrian Wars further weakened the Seleucid hold. By 64 BCE, the Seleucid Empire was reduced to a shadow of its former self, annexed by Rome under Pompey the Great. Ptolemaic Egypt, the last surviving Hellenistic kingdom, met its end during the reign of Cleopatra VII. Her alliances with Julius Caesar and later Mark Antony could not save Egypt from Roman conquest. In 30 BCE, following Antony and Cleopatra's defeat at the Battle of Actium, Egypt became a Roman province, marking the definitive end of the Hellenistic era. The Hellenistic Wars were marked by their brutality and the sheer scale of destruction they wrought. Cities were razed, entire populations enslaved, and cultural treasures lost to the flames of war. While the Hellenistic period is celebrated for its cultural achievements, advances in science, philosophy, and the arts, these wars often destroyed the very centers of learning that fostered such progress. Libraries were burned, temples desecrated, and artisans uprooted. The wars were a grim spectacle of ancient warfare at its most savage. Mercenary armies ravaged the countryside, leaving famine and disease in their wake. Entire generations were lost to the carnage, and the Mediterranean world was left scarred for centuries. The Hellenistic Wars serve as a stark reminder of the fragility of empires built on conquest. While the Diadochi and their successors sought to emulate Alexander's glory, their endless pursuit of power ultimately led to their own undoing. The Hellenistic period, for all its achievements, was a time of profound instability, a world constantly teetering on the brink of collapse. As the dust settled and Rome emerged as the new master of the Mediterranean, the Hellenistic kingdoms faded into history, leaving behind a legacy of both brilliance and bloodshed. The wars that define this era stand as a testament to the destructive allure of power, an era where the ambitions of a few plunged the ancient world into darkness. Though the Hellenistic kingdoms fell, their influence endured. The cultural syncretism fostered during this era left an indelible mark on art, science, and philosophy. Yet the wars that tore Alexander's empire apart serve as a grim warning of the chaos unleashed when ambition knows no bounds.